Samsung Blue on another fantastic series. And with all of the Western teams now being out of the 2014 World Championships, I have a special request to the live design team from both North American and European LCS. Can we make the Nexus less tanky next year? With that, let's actually pick up the replay that ended that game. I think it's going to say it all, so let's get that on the screen immediately. Monte Cristo and the rest of the guys at the desk, let's start this one off, roll it out, and just talk me through these final moments from both Cloud9 and Samsung Blue's perspective.
Oh, I'm trying to remember which fight this was.
This is the one that
gets caught. Yeah, C9 get back
the
in the
three
game.
picks that lead to the inhibitor and the Nexus push.
So
Double
the
lift.
flash kick was awesome, first of all. That was sick.
Yeah.
And they just kind of all in and they chase.
I've actually never seen Meteos pull that move off. I mean, it was just so clutch
No, I
to
told
do
you,
it at this moment.
he trained his champion. At the start, he was bad, but he said, like, no, I'm going to train those mechanics. He wins games in LCS purely on play.
This bubble right here, this three-man bubble,
Yep.
I thought as the Nexus was about to die, that Heart won his team the game. If that bubble didn't hit 3 people, they might have been able
got
to
the bomb
end it.
shield. Bomb absorbs it.
Here's what you want to look for, actually, though. So as they chase down, there's 3 things to watch for. First of all, Meteos has kick back up at the very end here. He can actually kick deft to keep him from dealing damage. Also, at the very end, Corki flashes into the spray and pray shot that kills Lee Sin. Watch for that at the very end. If you kick deft away, if you don't die, you actually survive here.
Because they focused down Rengar in that fight. Question to double lift. If those auto attacks had been on the tower and then the Nexus, would this have been a Nexus kill?
It's so hard to tell.
That's so hard to tell because
Rengar
might have been able to kill somebody, so they had to clean him up.
The point of this play, though, we can scrutinize this and be like, maybe, is that C9 was so far down. They had the balls to make a pick with a kick flash, and that was not a flash kick, that was a kick flash. And they basically realized, guys, we just got 2 picks. We will never, ever in this match get 2 more picks. We have to run for the base and try and finish. And they had the audacity to do that, and that is just what separates like the great teams from like the best teams.
And that's why I think Cloud9 is really like the best team in the LCS, either NA or EU. This is a team that can play from behind, that has a very clear idea about how they're going to win the game, usually has excellent pick and ban phase. I mean, they really brought it out this series, and they played an amazing series against a very strong opponent.
I have to ask the question to Freak, who's casted this team for many years now, watched them for a good year and a half. I feel that Orianna needs to be added to High's champion pool because Talon was average at best in both the group stages and now quarterfinals for him. I mean, is that something you
It's true. Honestly, every time at Worlds, High, unfortunately, gets brought down the champion that he's not quite as comfortable on. You could say it costs his team the game a little bit. I mean, he's playing a very unsafe champion against a Rengar, right, and getting caught out for it. I don't want to say it's High's fault to lose these games. That's completely unfair. But yes, he's getting pushed a little bit too far down his champion pool. I would like to see him broaden out his top tier a bit. Orianna would be a good pick. I mean, it's whatever you want it to be. Dade has his own crazy champion pool, and it works for him just fine, usually. Just learn more top tier champions for you, and you're good to go.
Yeah, definitely. I think High is a player with a lot of big strengths and a lot of big weaknesses. Obviously, the champion pool and the fact that he gets caught out of position so frequently, but also he's the shot caller for that team. And anytime they rotate, anytime they make those big plays and those clutch decisions, it's High.
So to cut you off, we are talking about High. It's actually fantastic. We have an interview with him. We will come back to the discussion in a moment. Thank you very much, Shucks. Congratulations once again to Cloud9. I think they can walk away proud of their performance at Worlds. A few small improvements, and maybe they could have made it to the semi-finals. Let's talk a little bit more about Cloud9 before talking about Samsung Blue and rounding out the day, Crepo.
Oh yeah, I was actually going to jump from the Cloud9 pump to Samsung Blue, because I feel like, while every team has their weaknesses, you have to exploit them. And I feel Spirit, this match, exploited them so beautifully. He ran top when there was no vision, Balls was running up to ward, and right at that moment, max range Rengar leap, and he holds his boa. He holds it till after the flash, and over, he'll go mobility boots, gank mid, he'll jump in, place a pink ward, hold the boa, force High to react, boa strike, and then just screw it High, and he basically won that game for Samsung Blue.
Absolutely. Holding the bola was just so key in those early engagements. And also the team composition that Blue got. We saw a lot of Yasuo bans in this series. Instead, Cloud9 opted to ban the Ryze this game. And I feel that was a mistake because that meant pretty much that High couldn't play Syndra here. And it kind of actually forced them onto the Talon pick a little bit awkwardly. And Dade's Yasuo is terrifying.
So, Freak, let's step back a little bit from the micro, maybe talk about the series in general. Samsung Blue 3 games in a row, punishing Cloud9 for their mistakes, and Cloud9 had quite a few. I think when they watch these replays back, they'll learn them. But we also saw a lot of weaknesses in Samsung Blue that Cloud9 punished several times over the course of the series.
Yeah, so thinking back about the series, Game 1, fantastic analysis and thought process by C9 to get that level 1 invade. Really sexy, really smart, set him up ahead. We saw all 4 games, the team with the lead early on snowballed it. Both these teams incredibly good with the lead. It's the tendencies you can exploit that you can build a lead against these teams. C9 repeated the same invade multiple times, and you saw Lemon face check by himself in Game 3. That was exploited. Similarly, again, the Game 1 invade by C9 really smart as well. So both these teams learning about their opponents, exploiting mistakes, snowballing leads very well. Also, just to correct what I said earlier, Lee Sin Kick was not, however, unbreakable, was wasted on Nami. That would have been something to maybe break some Twitch damage down. I just wanted to make sure I didn't get that one out incorrectly. There was no kick up. Yeah, but, you know, speaking of individual mistakes, overall in the series, though, right, these guys have had early game deficits, high, bit of weaker champion pool sometimes. Samsung Blue in general, they don't win the 2-on-2 lane, and that can be very rough against like Imp and Mata.
Double F, talk to me about the series before we move on and talk about the bracket.
Yeah, I was just going to talk about Samsung Blue a little bit because their early game, it's like people will just slap them in the face and they'll just take it. They'll be like, oh yeah, I love that. And then mid-game, they just
Pretty sure they
explode.
Don't love that. That's maybe you.
They make these ridiculous plays where they just get an ace and Baron every time. Honestly, all 3 of these previous games, they just get an ace and Baron, and then it's like, okay, game's over. Samsung Blue's got Baron. They've aced you. They're just going to wipe you over and over and over again. So it's just so impressive how much better mid-game these guys are than everyone else.
I completely agree. We'll have a chance to see their mid-game again in just a week's time. With another quarterfinal wrapped up, let's actually take a look at the world's bracket and see how 50% of the quarterfinals have shaped up. Both Samsung organizations coming out above their American opposition 3-1. And that will set us for the team kill semi-final between Samsung White and Samsung Blue, yet again on Korean soil. Bottom half of the bracket is going to be a China versus China matchup tomorrow. It'll be, of course, between Starhorn Royal Club and Edward Gaming, and then followed that by Najin White Shield and OMG. I just very briefly want to talk a little bit of hype about tomorrow's quarterfinal matchup between the 2 Chinese squads. There's a bit of discrepancy between our analysts about whether EDG are going to rise to the occasion considering it's against friendly opponents, or whether or not Starhorn Royal Club's going to choke. Where do you find yourself leaning towards, Double Lift?
Oh man, it's so hard. I think EDG, just because they're so consistent and they, like Freak said before, they always step up when it actually matters. But it's just really hard for me to tell. I chose, I think, 3-2 to EDG, but it could go either way. I wouldn't be surprised.
Damn it, Double F, predictions are tomorrow.
Sorry.
Freak, where are you leaning to build up some hype for tomorrow's match?
Well, for me, building hype, I'm just going to go against you and say 3-2 for Starhorn Royal Club, just to screw with you also as well. I mean, we can battle. It's fine. Your item build sucks, so I'd win the 1v1s. No, but you built a Zephyr second item on Vayne. Like, I don't know what you're doing. But no, it's honestly a great match. They have very, very different styles. It's going to be a lot of fun to see if Starhorn Royal Club can use their typical early game advantage. They're just incredible players overall, right? And it's just going to be a bloodbath. It's Chinese LoL. They fight a lot.
Well, yeah. Final thoughts from Crypto Monty before we move on.
I just agree that I think that if the average league viewer has interest in a lot of different things, if you're more like macro strategy, rotations, and calm early games, you would have loved these series so far. If you just want full-on Brawl Fest, you're probably going to love tomorrow a little more. I'm going to love tomorrow. I have no idea who's going to win. I'm leaning slightly towards one side, which is Royal Club, but honestly, I don't watch enough LPL throughout the entire season to 100% be right here. But I'm just looking forward to see Uzi play.
Final thoughts, Monte Cristo?
Well, I'm leaning towards EDG. I think they're going to pick it up in a best of 5, and that with these couple weeks we'll kind of re-empower them. And I hope we get to see that, because if you guys actually get to see EDG and Name when they're on fire, it is a pleasure to watch them team fighting, a lot like Samsung Blue.
And if you don't, it's his fault, because he's cursed them with the caster curse, as it were. So you've heard of the opinions. There's a bit split in the desk, which I'm excited about. And that World's Knockout stage will resume with Day 3 of the quarterfinals here in Busan. And that Chinese rivalry continues when Edward Gaming meets the Starhorn Royal Club. That series will begin tomorrow at 7 AM Central European Summertime, which is actually 10 PM Pacific time tonight. So guys, set your alarms accordingly. Today's series started off with a bang and it ended exactly the same way. That does it for Day 2 of the quarterfinals. I'd once again like to thank all of our guests here on the analyst desk, and from all of us and the entire World's broadcast team, thank you for watching. We'll see you for Day 3 as the 2014 World Championship continues.